Deal. All right. You guys ready? All right. Here we go. Welcome to the Local Business Resource Collective Community Call. Our topic tonight is inclusive community. Our partners for the Local Business Resource Collective are the Biz Foundry, WCTE, Small Business Development Center, and the Center for Rural Innovation. So we partner together. We do these community calls every 2 weeks. Check our social media and our pages to find out the next one. It's in about 2 weeks. We'll see you then. And tonight we have Dee Prince moderating our talk tonight with an awesome panel, and he'll introduce the rest of you. And Dee, what's happening? Dee is the Vice President of Impact Cookbook.
Yes,
correct?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Tiffany. I want to welcome everybody that's tuning in. I want to thank all of our guests that are here today, our panelists that are here today. So let's get started. I want to go ahead and introduce everybody because we have a powerful panel here. Our first panelist is a native New Yorker. Shout out to Brooklyn, the hometown. And Cookeville was culturally and physically miles away from the ethnical and linguistical diverse environment that she grew up in. She earned her bachelor's degree in Spanish, and it opened doors to her first career, which was in teaching. She attained her master's in curriculum and instruction of modern languages, and it allowed her to shift into higher education, where she serves as a director of an advising center. City Girl Soaps is her business, and it was birthed about 7 years ago. And it came out of her desire to give a gift and turned into a business, which she is now building. So let's say hello to our first panelist, Miss Simone McKelvey. Thanks for joining us today. All right, our second panelist is a owner and operator of Tree City Wine and Spirits and the Best Western Tree City Inn in McMinnville. He's the winner of the 2019 McMinnville Warren County Chamber of Commerce Free Enterprise Award and was 2018's McMinnville Young Professional of the Year and serves on the St. Thomas River Park Hospital Board of Directors. He and his wife Sheena are the proud parents of 2 daughters, Elena and Ariana, and 1 fur baby named Ace. When he's not working, he enjoys spending time with his family, traveling, and a man after my own heart, collecting rare whiskeys. Our second panelist, Mr. Kevin Chef.
Yep.
All right, thanks for being here, Kevin. Our third panelist is someone who was born in India, bred in California, and raised in good old Cookeville, Tennessee. He describes himself as a serial entrepreneur. He owns Firehouse Subs here in Cookeville as his first business that he attained at the tender age of 22 years old. His life motto is simple: do good, be good, get good, do great, be great, and get great. Our third panelist, Mr. Chet Patel.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, man. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
And our final panelist, young man, 35 years old, very young. He's an entrepreneur that was locally born and raised in a single parent household. His relocating and traveling gave him a real sense of reality and diversity. He's become extremely passionate about growth, development, and accountability of the underdog and minorities. I've had the pleasure of watching this young man grow from 8 years old to who he is now. He's the owner of Cultured Image Grooming Studios, Mr. Terrence Page. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get into this. What we want to do, of course, is staying with the theme of building an inclusive community with an emphasis on business. And we have business owners here, a collective of business owners here. I want to throw out the first question. And the first question that I have, and we'll start with you first, Simone. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being extremely challenging and 10 being somewhat accommodating, how would you rate being able to become a minority business owner in the Upper Cumberland area?
I would say 8, and the only reason why I'm not saying 10 is because I am not where I want to be.
Right.
And so there are certain experiences I haven't had yet. I don't have a physical location
Right.
Where I've had to apply for a business loan or go through that process that maybe some of the other men in the room have.
So it's somewhat working out of home or working out of another
Right,
area? Okay,
right.
okay.
And setting up at different locations across town. So to this point, it's actually been very accommodating.
Okay.
But again, I have some ways to go.
Okay. So where do you mainly set up?
So I have 2 farmers markets that I set up
Okay.
at, and the downtown Green Market, as well as a new market on Walnut. That organization is called Cookville Locally Grown.
Right.
So I set up those 2 locations, but I also have a virtual platform that's 24/7.
Great. I gotta check it out. City Girl Soap.
Definitely.
Okay, gotta check it out. So we'll go with you, Kevin. And the reason why I'm asking, I definitely want to hear from you about this is because I'm not as familiar with the McMinnville area, and so Warren County is kind of your landing area.
Absolutely.
Correct? So tell us a little bit about on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate starting a business in Warren County?
So for me personally, so I'm fortunate. So I moved to Warren County in '98.
Right.
My parents had bought a business early on.
Okay.
And moving out of McMinnville and then coming back to help it grow. Since I grew up in the area and a lot of people knew me, I mean, small town.
Right.
A lot of people knew me. I had the proper connections through the banks to be able to get the loan to start my first business in McMinnville.
So you established relationships early on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And but on the other side, so what's crazy is it was easy to start or get the loan or easier than what people thought. But at the exact same time, what was tough was going or talking to individuals in McMinnville that didn't understand how I got it so easily.
Right.
And they thought that I was able to make the relationships easily because we had so-called easy government or bank loans that were either interest-free. So there's a lot of there was a lot of information that individuals didn't know that they thought it was kind of handed to us.
Okay.
But it was essentially building the businesses or building the connections early on, in order to get to where I was.
Right. Now, were these assumptions by, I guess, the people on the outside looking in, was it due to the different culture?
Your
culture?
Absolutely.
Okay. So because you were of a different culture, you were receiving maybe government funds or whatever it may be, and that's how it was easy for you.
It was easy. Exactly.
Okay.
And so yes, it was easy,
but
it wasn't easy for the reasons they thought. It was due to the relationships that my parents had built.
Right.
And then on top of that, the sacrifices that we have to make to ensure that bank loans, things like that, were always paid in full.
Right.
So, growing up for us, I moved from a large 2-story house in Ohio.
Right.
And then when we moved here in '98, I started living in a hotel room.
Okay.
At the hotel that my parents bought because we literally had nothing else.
Right.
So it was just scraping to make sure that we made payments and going off of that.
Right.
And the credit history and things like that.
Because if you literally lose the hotel, you guys are homeless.
Absolutely.
Technically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And for us, and Indian culture in general, and Chet can probably speak more on it. It's just making those early sacrifices to make sure that you have that long-term goal and that longevity of financial success.
Okay, so let's transition to you, Chet. What would be your rating in terms of?
In my rating, I would have to say, it's probably 10 out of 10 in Cookville.
Okay.
What I assume is a lot of people assume, people talk a lot. They say they want to do this, they want to do that.
Right.
But there's no actions.
Okay.
The automatic, their mindset, their actions, they say, if I'm going to go to the city office and get my business license, what do I need to do? They don't know what the first step is, and they don't know where to go. They'll automatically assume that people they're going to meet are going to turn them down. But that's not the instance. My family's been doing business in Cookville since 2006 is when we moved here. And I would just say, the city of Cookville or the bankers or anybody that I have worked with personally has been an excellent service. they always go out of their way to help us out. What do we need to do? End of the day, city, when you open a business in the city, that's benefiting them, benefiting everybody else locally.
It serves purpose to the economy. Yeah.
Correct,
It
correct.
helps the
Absolutely.
economy.
But I think a lot of people get scared. They think too much before they take any actions. Either you're gonna take a right action or you're gonna take a wrong action.
Right.
Without you knowing it, till you don't take the action, you're not gonna know what's the outcome gonna be.
Right.
And that's what I see a lot in just in any community, my community, white community, black community, Mexican community, any community I can think of. I see that a lot is people, they talk, but they don't put anything in plan.
Right.
There's no plan, there's no actions, nothing's gonna happen, it's all
A
talk.
lot of lip
You're
service.
assuming this and assuming that.
Okay.
And that's not how it is.
So would it be correct in assuming, or tell me if this is far-fetched. So I want to start, some type of business, and I'm here in Cookeville, and, I hear that I have to get a business license. To find the steps to opening a business or starting a business, do you think that I can just go on the internet? Is Google a good way to start this up? I mean, input from everybody. Is this a good way to kind of start it up, or should I seek out a mentor of some sort? Or?
I absolutely think Google's like, now Google has everything you need to know.
Right.
I mean, you can probably learn how to operate a surgery on Google.
Please don't operate on anybody. Please do not take Chet's advice and operate on anyone. I don't care if you're staying at a Holiday Inn.
Google is full
Right.
of information. That's where we add up. But the best resources, a lot of people, is you got to call your local offices.
Yeah.
If you're stuck somewhere, Google the photo, who is my local office, who manages this section, who does this.
Yeah.
Call them and just ask them, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to open a new business. What is my first step?
Got it.
And they will tell you what the first step needs to be.
Okay. So Terrence, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to piggyback off that.
Yeah.
I mean, calling them, but also, I mean, especially in these small communities, we've got franchises that are technically mom and pops, right?
Right.
I mean, you've got Chet that has a Firehouse Subs.
Right.
So even though you see a Firehouse Subs or you see a chain property, there's probably a mom and pop kind of behind it.
Right.
So I think what you said was, one of the things, getting a mentor or just call up any of these small business owners and be like, hey, how'd you get started? Because majority of them are going to take the time to help you with those resources, and they might even help you get with the bankers or any other resources.
Give you their resources.
Exactly, because any small business owner knows the struggles that it takes.
Yeah.
No, if Simone's had an 8 out of 10, Chet's had a 10 out of 10.
Experience.
It's even if the barrier of entry may have been a little lighter.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of other struggles that go behind it that a business owner can let you in on.
Right. So I want to shift gears to you, Terrence. Now, I've kind of seen your journey with getting your own business. Partially because you grew up here, raised here, but you left, and then when you came back a business owner. And I'm assuming that the influence was away, maybe not in Cookeville. The other part is, I know of Black business owners who, it can seem like it's parallel to what you've gone through, had to leave here, get something somewhere else, and bring it to Cookeville. So first, tell me about how you would rate your area, and then kind of tell me about the journey coming into your place.
I would rate it a 7.
Okay.
And I say 7 because my industry is a little different from Chet and Kev's.
True.
I'm in a service-based industry, in the barbering industry, the glam world, as they call it.
Cosmetic, kind of
the cosmetic,
like Simone.
But whereas I have a product, she has a product.
Right.
My product's a little different.
Yeah.
People lock in with their hairstylists and their barbers, and generations and generations go to the same barber, same beautician, same hairstylist.
True.
So if you going back here in Cookeville,
mm-hmm.
there was no barbers that looked like
that
me
catered to
up,
Yeah.
There was no business owners that looked like me growing up.
Right.
So when I got outside of Cookeville, I started to see more business owners that look like me.
Right.
Look more like Kev, look more like Chet.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was just like just like Kev said, a conversation piece.
Right.
You know, my first conversation piece came from a guy that owned a gas station. Then I want to open a business, and he said, "Go for it. What are you waiting on?"
Yep.
You know, and so like I said, I would say a 7. Cookville's been very supportive, but in retrospect, they've seen the transition.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Going back, the accountability that I had to hold myself to.
Right.
You know, you can't just wipe away what happened in the past. You got to own that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to show the maturity. You got to show the growth.
Absolutely.
And people seen that.
Absolutely.
And they seen it was genuine.
Yeah.
You come sit in my chair, you see it's genuine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about people.
Right.
I
like what you said about that, because when you think about hairstylists, you think about barbers. Sometimes your hairstyle, I haven't gone in a long time, of course. But sometimes,
I wasn't gonna say
yeah. No, I get it. It's gone. It's been gone. But no, you think about it, and they almost serve as I've been friends with hairstylists, and they can almost tell me about a lot of the people that they've whose hair that they've done and styled, and they can also tell me how many kids they have with all the way down. Yeah, it's a personal connection. It's
a personal relationship.
It is a personal connection, but that gives way to some people knowing who you were in the past.
Exactly.
And quite possibly,
exactly.
You know,
and I think that's been the challenge.
Okay.
That's been the challenge, and it's been a challenge that I've been up for.
Right.
You know, I face it head on.
The accountability,
you know what I mean? Because it's the accountability factor.
Yeah.
You know I can't be great.
Right.
Not unless I hold myself accountable.
Absolutely.
You know. So like I said, you know, Cookville's been great, and it's getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people operated a long time not knowing what a good haircut was.
Yeah.
And so, you know, now that they see a good quality haircut, it's like, I'm going back.
Right.
You know,
The experience.
I'm telling a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
The experience. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Good. So do you guys, so you don't feel like you altered your approach in any way? And the reason why I say that is from personal experience. In order to get where I am now, I believe that I had to play the game. I had to somewhat be someone else. I couldn't be the D that you see right now because I tried that, but I wasn't professional enough, or I was too articulate. I've heard that. I've heard overqualified. You know, you speak so well. Like, I didn't know how they expected me to come in and speak at an interview. Did you expect me to use broken English? So do any of you feel like you had to change your approach of who you are, Chet? We'll start with you.
You know, I think that's absolutely at a certain point in life you have to change your approach.
Okay.
Who you are, you know.
Okay.
Your character has to change, you know. Owning one business to multiple businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You're meeting a lot of different people, you know.
Yeah.
For one example, I went to make a deal a few years ago, and I walked into this guy's office, and he looked at me. You know, I pretty much dress pretty casually, and that day I like to wear flip-flops, you know, things like that in the summertime.
Right.
So that day I'm going to make a deal for millions of dollars, and I walk into my flip-flop, and this guy looks at me.
Can you repeat that part? Going to make a deal for what?
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. With an S. That's plural, ladies.
Wearing flip-flops, and this guy looks at me, and he's like, "Are you the right guy?" I'm like, "Well, technically I am. You know, I am." You know, he judged my character of what's going to be, and then he didn't realize I'm the guy that's, you know, going to write you a check for what it needs to be and make this deal happen.
Right.
But that happens as you as you grow your character, and all has to change. You got to pretty much fit in what's right and what's not right, and you know, and that's just part of life, you know, and that's what I've been noticing more and more. And every year I feel like the character, it has to improve. Right. Your personal development has to get better and better, you know.
Okay. Anybody else with the experience?
That's why my shop is named Culture.
Okay.
The term culture is characterized by refined taste, good manner, and good education.
Okay.
So that's large part why I named it Culture Image. Right. Because I won't call it playing the game.
Redefine.
I had to redefine.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
And then to me, that's me playing the game.
Yes.
But it's also me
setting the rules.
Playing my part.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
Well, because you think about it, and you and I we kind of associate with the same folks.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these younger folks that are over at Cane Creek playing basketball, over at the center or West End Park, they say, well, I want to own my own business. I want to do this when I grow up. And I'm like, dude, you're 25 years old.
Yeah.
You've already grown up.
Yeah.
People always try to change you. They don't want you to be yourself. They want you to be something else. But what you said has some merit. You just kind of redefine it,
You have to
reshape it.
And I'll say a second part to that.
Yeah.
I was thinking this today, and this is just getting raw. I think that in Cookeville, in with the Native Black, the African Americans, like Chet said, you kind of got to be your business everywhere you go,
Right. But that representation,
of your
business.
But it's a little bit. We're held to a little different standard here in Cookeville.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? To where if I see Chet out in public with flip-flops on going to close $1 million deal.
Right. Millions.
Millions. I don't think too much of it.
Right.
But
because you know his skill set.
There's multiple business owners that look like Chet that are Indians and stuff like that, But when you see me,
right.
Whether I'm in, I don't wear my pants down low no more.
Right.
So, but if I'm in ball shorts and a t-shirt and I approach you to cut your hair, you're like, you don't look
like a barber.
You don't look like a barber.
You look a little bit too relaxed.
You know what I mean? And so and that goes on.
Yeah.
I have to represent myself to that person 2 or 3 times to get them to come sit in my chair.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're kind of held to a little bit different of a standard, I think. But I also think it's because there's not been a large number of us.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So real quick, Simone, I want to ask you, is that your approach? Is that in the back of your head, in the back of your mind? And here's the reason why I say that. When you start looking at traditionally how society looks at gender and race, African-American women, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, are still in the back of the line. You know what I mean? Male, different cultures, women, different culture, African-American are at the bottom. They're at the back of the line. Does playing the game, redefining your approach, playing by the good old boy rules or whatever it may be, is that in the back of your mind? Do you think about those things in this area?
I think one of the things that I don't necessarily want to play a game.
Right.
But I think just because of who I am, I always spoke a certain way. Like I can remember not being Black enough.
Right.
And my sister who is watching, my oldest sister, always called me the little white girl because of the way that I spoke.
Right.
So I almost feel like I'm at the first point in my life where it's okay to be myself.
Yes.
And it just works to my benefit that looks like I'm playing the game. And I'm really not. I'm just being me.
You're just being you.
Right.
But in some way, those rules are it's acceptable to the rules somewhat in the game, even though you're not playing the game.
But I would say that in the past couple of years, just, if you look at the news, we know that racial injustice is an issue still in our country. If you had asked me a decade ago whether or not it was, I would have said no.
Right.
Fast forward now, I'm like, you got to be blind not to realize that. So it's something that's in my mind now that wasn't in my mind before. Yeah. And I hate that that's true. Yeah. Like, I don't want that to be something that I'm considering or calculating in the background of, do I need to present myself in a certain way so that this person takes me seriously because I'm not a white male. Right. And yet now, because of the things that are sort of the ugly that's in our faces, in the back of my mind, sometimes that's there. Okay. So Kevin, let's kind of wrap it up with you. What about the approach? Do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I think going off of Simone's white girl approach. Yeah. Right. I mean, similar with me, right? Being in McMinnville, and people knowing that Indians have bought gas stations. You walk into a Subway, you walk into our so-called stereotypical certain businesses,
Right.
you're
Hotels
expecting, you're expecting an Indian to be there. So,
right.
So having individuals run into me and then I start speaking and then they get super confused.
Right.
Because they're expecting a thick Indian accent.
Yeah.
Because that's what they just saw 5 minutes ago when they're filling up their gas tank.
Right. So the next one that I see is going to be hard to understand as well.
Right. So
and sometimes people tend to talk louder, even though it's a different language.
100%,
you know, it's
right?
like if you don't speak English, no, you don't have to yell. It's cool. I got you.
Yeah. So I think more of the approach, more than anything, has been kind of like, you know, I was born and raised in the States. And even if I wasn't, right, like, I'm just as so-called American as you are.
Right.
You know, we're here, we're paying taxes, whether my accent is different or not.
Yeah.
I think for me, the biggest struggle, especially in McMinnville, has been, you know, like, nah, bro, like I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, you can't get whiter than that.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just.
So you guys all been to Tulsa? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like it's just you're talking about, you know, middle of the country and all that. So it's essentially trying to re-educate the local community, saying, hey, you know what, we can, you know, yes, I am of a different color and race and religion. Yeah. But I've got the exact same issues you do. Yeah. I mean, we're in the community together. Exactly. So the issues that affect the community are affecting us. Exactly. Now there are personal things, but those are details that are different for everybody. Right. The same personal issues that you may have might not affect me, and it doesn't have anything to do with color or race. Correct. But as a community as a whole, if we're dealing with, you know, whatever it may be, that affects all of us as citizens. Yeah, yeah. So you know, my approach is, the toughest thing has just been fighting with myself. Like, am I either too Indian, or am I too white, or am I too trying to find that right balance. And at the same time, even though I'm born and raised here, I still want to have that Indian culture that my parents had raised me, right? Yes. So absolutely. So yeah. It's almost like here with I'm just speaking from my culture, but you know, the African American standpoint. You know, I'm so thankful. I get it now. I'm so thankful for John's Place, just because there's a smidge of that African American culture that's here. When you start doing research on John's Place, a historically recognized landmark now, you start thinking just about the environment as a whole, and you kind of soak it in, the nostalgia of it. And the crazy thing about it is that's one of the only places, I believe, or really one of the most common places to come that was not segregated a long time ago in the I guess the civil rights time. But I digress. I'm thinking of the John dog right now. So shout out to John's Place. Right. Shout out to John's Place. Okay. So for everybody, what's the plan long term for your business? We'll start with you, Terrence. And what I mean by that, are you thinking of becoming a global phenomenon, putting culture to image grooming studios on every corner like Walgreens? Or
I wouldn't have jumped out if I didn't. Right. You know, I don't want to limit myself just to Cookville. Right.
Well, the reason why I ask you is because there are some people who go in, want business. I've talked to people who aspire to be business owners and just want to be the elite class of their community.
I was blessed with my first barbershop, very similar to where I'm at now. Right. I was right across the street from MTSU.
Yeah.
So it was a campus.
I remember that.
I had an awesome mentor. Shout out to Pastor Sean Moses. Yeah. He was a business owner. He had been a shop owner for 20 plus years. And I got to pick and choose some things that I like. I just seen him today, and I just told him, I said, you know, I have to humbly say thank you, because now as a business owner, as a barbershop, I look at it totally different than I did as just being a barber. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Because
now the accountability and responsibility is there as operations.
Coming back to Cookville, it being my hometown, it being on the side of town I grew up in, I would love to step foot in Cookville's everywhere. Right. You know, I've already done some mapping, some pre-planning, looked at some other communities, college communities that I would love to go into, because I want to get into serving young men of all colors.
Yeah.
That kind of journeyed the path that I did, you know.
Right.
I was a troubled kid with white, black, Mexican, you know. There was all kinds of us that were in trouble together. It just wasn't one demographic of people, you know. So I want to be able to go back and touch the youth, touch the young, be an advocate of growth. Because I mean, I think we're at a time right now to where men's mental health is a big thing. Yeah. The barbershop is the key component to fixing that.
I'm sure that you get that.
I see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
They may not come straight out and say, hey, I'm having mental health issues or mental health breakdown.
I feel it. I'm up here where their tent's at.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
I'm up where their tent's at, so I can feel what's going on with you.
Yeah,
you know? So
talk to me.
I think that, you know, and if you go back, you know, centuries and centuries ago, that's what the barbershop was.
Right.
That's what the barbershop was.
Church and the barbershop.
It was the pillar of the community. That's right. You know, that's where you went to get all the gossip, the news, to hear everything. You know?
Tell everybody that the Clippers was going to win and they get bounced out of the playoffs.
All that. You know, you get to hear you was a high school phenom.
Right. You 350 pounds now, but hey, back in the day, I was light.
I want to be able to spread that. You know what I mean? So Cookville isn't the end all. I mean, I don't ever want to leave. Right. You know, I came back home for a reason, but there's more to it. Yeah. There's more to it.
Good. City Girl Soap. Is that going to be a global phenomenon, or do we want to just kind of manifest it where it's at?
That's a great question. I'm thinking that through.
Okay.
And I would say I want to have the option.
Okay.
So, and the reason why I'm saying that is because, like, I have a full-time job.
Right.
Which I enjoy. I want the option to be able to lay that down in a moment's notice and just say, you know what? I just want to be City Girl Soaps. I want to be Simone Educator. Right. Although I see myself always being an educator in some way. So yes, I want City Girl Soaps to be something that people know of throughout the United States. Yeah. And yet at the same time, to be able to just have options and to give other people options too. Like I volunteer with some young people, and I want to see them see me. Yeah. And like, I don't have children yet, so I'm not being able to pour into my own kids that I birthed. You know, the entrepreneurial spirit and working hard and taking your education seriously and all of that. So anybody else that I touch that's young, whether it's through volunteer work, people who see me at church, I want to be an example to them. So I'm still building out what my dream is going to be, but I like the option and being able to have the opportunity.
And I just actually had that conversation with a friend of mine today, talking about her degree and continuing school, and, you know, letting her know you want to continue with your education. You want to get that degree because then you'll have options. You know, if something were to happen and you needed to get, you know, you needed a job that pays higher than where you're at, your earning potential, this sets you up for it. It's better to have that in your toolbox than to not have it. So Kevin, talk to me. Are we going to take, you know, Tree City Wine and Spirits to the next level? Are we going to combine Tree City Wine and Tree City Inn? You know, are we going to get liquor store inside of a hotel, across the street from my house, preferably?
Something like that. I think for me, you know, I like having multiple entities. Yeah. You know, other than I don't like the like just monotony with one type of business. Right. And I like getting my hands into multiple assets, right? So whether it's real estate, whatever. So that was one big reason I went back to McMinnville. So, you know, I live in Murfreesboro. I've been with a startup IT company in Nashville that I helped grow, and then going to VCs and things like that. But coming back to McMinnville was going back to multi-million-dollar deals, right? If you,
where's everybody finding these multi-million-dollar deals at? But sitting at the house chilling. I need to be in these multi-million-dollar conversations.
It's one of those things where where if you're in a Murfreesboro, you're in a Nashville, you're in those markets, you could spend $100 million if you had it.
Wow.
And not even make a splash in that market, and a ton of people wouldn't even know your name or anything. Where you could be in a market like McMinnville and spend $2 million,
right, and
change the landscape of not just the community in general, but the people that live in that community, right?
Yeah.
So with me growing up in McMinnville, it coming back, it's not about being a big shark in a small pond. It's more about increasing the life and livability factor in that small town.
Okay.
So I've got projects that I'll be working on in the next few years to help change that landscape, because again, with me living in Murfreesboro,
right,
the amount of cars that I see when I'm driving around Murfreesboro or Nashville or Lebanon or wherever, the amount of Warren County tags that I see outside of Warren County, I'm like, why the hell are these people outside of Warren County? When I talk to people in Warren County,
right,
they're like, well, there's nothing to do here. We can't do this. We can't do that.
Yeah.
So my long-term goal is one, to keep people in Warren County and say, this is a great place to live.
Okay.
And I've got things that I can do, rather than having them drive. And again, now that I've got 2 little girls, right? I'm over here like time is money.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you want to go somewhere, do I have the time to drive an hour to go here, do whatever I need to do, and then drive an hour back?
Absolutely.
Or would I just rather do that in my own community and save all that time and have time to do other things?
So the live, work, play aspect in your county, in your city, is kind of top of your...
That alone is my goal.
Yeah. Okay. And you want to be impactful for that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Good. That's good. So round us out with it, Chet. Global phenomenon, or
no.
Are we gonna have Firehouse subs in Paris, or
Firehouse might be in Paris. I don't know when, but that's not something that I started. That was started by 2 brothers out of Florida.
Yeah.
They're international, Canada and Mexico. I don't know, not Mexico, but international for sure, Canada.
Okay.
But Firehouse was something that I started, and they taught me my business organization that I needed to teach, that I needed to learn, right? And that's why I bought into their name. They've been excellent. They've been perfect training, perfect education that I needed to start anything else or move on or implement a system in my business that I have to. And I have implemented my systems from Firehouse that I've learned into my other businesses. Local is definitely, you want to start locally, but goal is globally. I'm spread out pretty much throughout the whole state of Tennessee and a few other states surrounding county,
Right.
So that's not going to stop. What I really enjoy about business is, we're talking about locally, is just talking about $100 million in Murfreesboro is nothing, and $2 million in McMinnville is something. What it really does is, I really enjoy starting business or investing in businesses. Just hiring the people that work for me. It could be anybody. It could be somebody who has no chance to get a job as a criminal, but then you give them a chance and they prove you something, and that the happiness I get there from somebody else succeeding, that's what really makes me happy, and I love it, just when somebody succeeds, that's like my biggest success. I don't really, all this right now is a hobby to me, it's just so much fun, and I enjoy it. So it keeps me going. If I stop, I don't know what to do, I'll go nuts, so I can't stop, and I want to go till I can go.
So I have to get you to share what you shared with us when we first met. So I was completely blown away by your story about your parents, and kind of that generational pouring into you about work and time and investment. And I don't know if you heard it, Simone. You do remember. Listen, it's something that has to be shared, and I want you to go back to that. So talk about your parents, your home life.
Yeah, when my parents, as being Patels in India, we've always been entrepreneurs. That's how we started in India. It's in our blood. You got to do business. That's the only way why I make money for somebody else. When you make fun of your own. And when my parents moved here in '92 from India, definitely they left everything back home and moved here with just pack of clothes and some little money, but they worked everywhere. I remember my dad telling me, his first job was in Chicago, working at a gas station at $4.25 an hour. You know, I mean,
wow.
My parents made a realization. They left India to better their life and to better their life for their kids. That's so they can bring them here.
Absolutely.
They work 16, 18 hours a day. The one thing that I know as my parents, there's no to be successful in 10 years from now is you gotta have no hobbies. There can be no steak dinners. There's no going out to clubs or bars or this. You know, there's no hobbies. There's no football games. The only thing you know is work. You know, if you start at 7, you finish at 10 at night. You know, that's all they do 7 days a week, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years in a row. And you know, I cannot thank them enough for what they've done for us. You know, and they built my foundation where it needs to be, and they did an excellent job. They built that foundation strong. And when it, you know, in my culture, this thing is help within. You know, why worry about it? Help while they're young. You know, when I'm 80 years old, and they say, "Hey, Chet, here's your wealth." What is Chet gonna do? Chet can do nothing at that age. He's done. You know, his life is finished. But why not help him young, get him started, so he can move the wealth, keep on going. You know, my goal is, I hope what I'm building is gonna last forever, to generation. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to build, and that's what I told my parents.
That's your contribution to your legacy.
Yeah, one day from now on, you know, when I pass and people can look back, my kids can look back, their kids can look back, hey, Grandpa Chet left, you know, so, you know, he done something right for us to keep on going.
No, it's good. And the reason why I say that is, you know, being related to, you know, Princess Hot Chicken, you know, I see TV shows and different things like that with my family members on there. And then of course it's my great grandfather that actually started that. And that's a story that even my children who were able to look on Facebook, it's just like, well, hey, there was a TV show about this, or, you know, a TV spot, diners, dive-ins and things like that, fast food things, about the whole Prince Hot Chicken legacy. So you think,
That's what I seen Shaq.
Were you seeing who?
Shaq
who? Shaquille O'Neal was that Princess? What? Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. We bring in the stars. You know how we get down. I mean, I'm here with y'all. We bring in the stars. So yeah, I think that there's so much to that, and I think that other people can get something from that. When you start thinking about the fact that your parents said, I left from somewhere else to make a better life. So why would I leave somewhere else just to come in and not get it ingrained in my mind that this is the opportunity that I have to set up big vision in long term.
But you know, D, that goes back to something that you spoke on earlier. If you look at that's something that we haven't seen in our culture.
Right.
We have not seen that in our culture.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And
we haven't seen a lot of it. Do you agree, Simone?
No, I was thinking of a proverb that I was reading today or yesterday, and I'm gonna misquote it, but it says, "A wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children." So it goes off of what Chet was just saying.
Yeah.
You're building a foundation, not for your kids, but for their kids and their kids.
Absolutely.
That's and you know, we can definitely speak on behalf of the Indian culture in general. And unfortunately, we're also noticing the Indian culture somewhat changing to a so-called Western culture,
right? Where
it's more about that me mentality, where, because, you know, again, our parents had come from a different country with very little, scraped everything they had to work their way up, and like I said before, you know, with the relationships with banks and so on and so forth. What our parents taught us is, it doesn't matter what's going on. If you owe money to someone, whether it's a bank, an individual, whatever, you will forego dinner or not eat much for something, but you always pay your debt.
Pay your debt.
You always pay your debt.
Because that's your word. And that's your name.
That's your name.
That's your character.
That's the biggest thing. But you know, the reason I believe the Indian culture in general is, you know, as you see a lot of these business owners and you see Indians in general buying certain things, a lot of it's happened not only from banks, but because of the relationships we have, we help each other grow. Right. So if
it gets away from crabs in a barrel.
Exactly. So
pulling one down.
Chet became successful, and then
he
sees that I'm over here trying to make something of myself or trying to do something for my family.
Yeah.
Chet will be like, hey, you know what? this guy's been working for me, or he's been doing something, you know what? I'm gonna help that individual out.
Yeah.
And help lead him.
Help him grow so I can grow.
Exactly.
With him. That's just,
it's investing in people.
Exactly. That's exactly.
People underestimate, there's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, but there's no Indian network. The Indian network is the strongest network, a phone call away.
Agreed.
I can be traveling.
I
could be traveling in New Mexico right now.
That's the first time I've ever heard of this.
I can call somebody
Right.
that might not even know the person, say, hey man, I'm traveling I'm in New Mexico and I need a place to stay.
Right.
It's not a hotel. The Indians now are barely since we're getting a little more modern Western now, we prefer stay at hotels. But before, we would go, when traveling, stay at somebody's house.
Somebody's house, yeah.
You don't see them for a long time. And and it's and then when you go to their house, and you're like, man, dude, we've been friends for a long time, but you've never met this person in your life, and that's how they travel. That's how they travel, and
absolutely,
that's a culture thing. And
so the culture is connected.
Very connected.
Absolutely.
The whole culture. Not just a circle within the culture.
I'm in Tennessee, but I can be stuck in freaking Mexico, but I can call somebody in Tennessee, and they're gonna find me through their network.
Yeah.
Hey, Chet Patel's in Mexico. He needs help. Can you go help him out? And somebody will be there to help you out that you don't even know. And they will treat you like just they met you yesterday,
like your family, and you've known each other for years.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need to get plugged in with y'all because I need Airbnbs. I need multi-million-dollar deals. I need this. All that.
That's just
I just want to chime in. Obviously, I'm not Indian. I love that.
Yes.
I wish that we did that.
Yeah.
But something happened a couple of weeks ago where I was supposed to be, or I wasn't at the market this particular weekend. Following weekend I went, and the market leader said, oh, somebody came in, wanted to buy some soap. I gave him your name. And so he said, I think he'll come back this week. The person didn't.
Right.
Another market vendor came up to me that same day and said, hey, Simone, did somebody come up to your table? This guy was here last week. He was looking for a soap maker.
Right.
And so I was like, well, no, he didn't come, but such and such told me about him. She went home. She sent me a snapshot of the man's business card. She didn't have to do that.
Right, definitely.
I reached out to him. We met that next day.
Yeah.
And over the course of 20 minutes, he ordered 150 bars of soap.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, just
Simone rolling in the dough like that. Simone got multi-million-dollar deals. Don't want to tell anybody. Everybody. Yeah, she's already global. Everybody's talking multi-millions, and she's sitting in the back like, I got mine, they get yours. But no, and so it's almost with Chet and Kevel, it's almost obligatory, to be able to help out or keep the connection there.
Right.
And I think that in our African American population, and it may be something that a lot of Black people don't want to hear, but I think that we have this winners, champions, priority mentality where if Terrence is doing well, I don't look at that like, hey, let's celebrate that together. I look at it like, well, it's competition. I got to do what I got to do to be better than that. Take all of his customers and be somebody who's bigger and better. So now you guys can talk about me the same way. Rather than just saying, how can I help you? At the same way that I do now. Terrence knows. Yes. All he's got to do is pick up the phone and say, D, here's what I need.
Big bro.
That's it.
Yeah, I think,
and I wish that was more commonplace in our culture.
Well, I don't, and that's kind of what I was going back to with what we're seeing with our generation or something like that. I think the big thing is ego.
Yes.
Right. I think we've gotten to a point where with Western culture, I don't know if it's an African American thing or anything like that. I think where the culture our parents came from, they would, even now, my parents have been here since the late 60s.
Right.
They will put ego aside, and it doesn't matter what happens with what they think or what other people think about them.
Right.
They will do what's right for their family and other families. Whereas this Western culture, it's more about, hey, look at me.
Right. It's more about self.
Me flashing.
Yeah.
We'll carry on.
So this was awesome. This portion was awesome. But we've got a question. We've got a question here, and the question is: do you think minority children, say young teens, are taught to consider an entrepreneurship as a pathway?
No.
You guys say no?
I think I would say somewhat, depending on the parents, who they're raising, but
yeah,
mostly education is our biggest thing.
Yeah.
You got a college, straight A's, till the end. There's no escaping to that.
Yeah.
Like we in the mine Kellis culture, you can relate, but we're set to a standard where our GPA has to be,
Okay.
All right. We are set to a standard where our grades have to be, and what do we have to do, what degree we have to have. You know what I mean? But if you don't like, if I told my parents I'm getting an art degree, I don't know. I really, I can't even say that.
That Indian connection you had might be outside of that.
You're out there. Why are you wasting time?
You're out of the network.
What were you gonna say, Terry?
I'm gonna go and say no. Because
Right.
I can speak from our culture, the African American culture. We're taught you're gonna shoot that ball or you're gonna run that ball, and if not, you better get to TRW or Fleet Guard and hope to get a job.
Yep.
To get a paycheck.
Yep.
So my answer to that is no.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I had to leave.
Right.
Go see it and come back.
Right.
And I still, even to this day, with my own family members.
Yeah.
We bump heads. It's like, when I made the transition to move.
Yeah.
Why would you move? Why would I not move?
What's better than this?
Why would I not grow?
Yeah.
That's what you go in business for, is to grow and to expand.
That's what you need.
So
Simone, what do you think?
No, I would have to agree.
With Terry.
I think my family, I was just always sort of the strange bird.
Right.
So like my sisters and my mother, I love them, but it's like I'd say something I wanted to do, and it's like, of course you would like to do that.
Right.
Because it's me.
Yeah.
But I think overall, no, that's probably not happening the way that it needs to.
Right. I think about that with my folks in school. I can remember when we lived in California. I think I came home and they said that evidently I was saying something crazy to my teacher. She asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, and I said I wanted to be everything. So I'm talking about I wanted to be somewhat of a jack of all trades, and that's why a lot of people are just kind of like, listen, you played semi-pro football, you've made albums, you've done this, you've been in theater, I just wanted to try everything. I wanted to be so well versed with everything. So Kevin, what do you think in terms of our question that was posed? Entrepreneurship to the path?
I think our cultures, African American or Indian American, our home life and things is one thing, but I also think the youth in general, it doesn't matter if you're a minority or white or I don't care what race you are.
Right.
I think part of our biggest issue when it comes to entrepreneurship is the education system.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, the education system, you don't even teach basic finances in general. So when
because you hear of so many issues in the school system, and I didn't mean to cut you off for a second, but you hear about it in the school system that people get out and as seniors going off to college don't know how to balance a checkbook.
Absolutely.
The only thing that they know is their debit card, but they don't know how much is on there. I'm not going to say that it was one of my kids, but called to say, hey, how much do I not have enough to spend time at Myrtle Beach? No, you don't. You should check your balance. So
I think it goes back to just
that.
Financial basics and financial responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't think you can tell the youth how to become an entrepreneur, because all of us sitting in here as entrepreneurs, I mean, financial is the biggest thing, right? I mean, whether you're using your own assets or you're borrowing money or doing anything else, you have to have a product that sells in order to pay for more product and where you're selling.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's operations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna have to wrap this up, but I've still got more questions. So this looks like it's probably gonna continue, and that this is what you guys get. This is what Tiffany and the Biz Foundry has put together. So we're gonna kind of have our parting shot, and what I'd like to do is just kind of go around the room. Simone, I want to start with you, of course, ladies first. We're gonna have our parting shots. Just any words of wisdom, any pieces, any nuggets that you want to leave us with for this portion of the conversation.
Okay. I'm looking forward to the next portions because I think there's so much to talk about.
Absolutely.
I love that you all wanted to give us this opportunity just to talk about things related to being entrepreneurs, being business owners, but also racial things that sometimes people are uncomfortable with.
Right.
And we've said it before, you gotta be willing to have the uncomfortable conversation because we can't grow otherwise.
Right. Chet, your parting shot?
Like Simone was saying, but I think, the great thing is we have two different cultures sitting in one room.
Awesome.
That's a culture that is where you get connected, helping each other out. There's a culture, if you're in a volley, you're in making it, trying to headbutt and this and that. I mean, as our conversations go further on, we're gonna learn more about everybody. There's anything just spread the culture of now, culture of future, culture of past.
Right.
What we can do, what we can share to connect everybody together and to spread the right message forward on.
Good. Kevin?
Yeah, I think first of all, my culture from Warren County, I'm just lucky that y'all in Cookeville let me in. So I appreciate that. But going on for this conversation, I think it's extremely important. I think a lot of people, especially with the landscape of our country right now, and I think the bigger thing, and with the four of us in this room, even though there is there are issues going on in this country, you shouldn't be deterred from being able to do something, because there's still a lot of really good people that are going to help you no matter what race, creed, color, religion that you are. And it's actually easier to find those people than you actually think. So if you just open your eyes, there's plenty of people that will help you out.
Right. Terrence?
I would probably say, first off, thanks, Tiffany. Thanks to Biz Foundry for this. But I'm anxious to dig in some more.
Yeah.
Because I know Chet, just met Kev, but I've been enlightened to some things that I'm anxious to learn because, like I said, I'm just looking to grow.
Absolutely.
But I would probably have to say to anybody watching this wanting to go into business, just jump. Take a leap of faith, just jump.
Leap of faith.
Find you some like minds.
Yeah.
Look for a mentor.
A network.
Get your
network.
build your network. Build your network. Look for some mentors. Just do it.
Yeah. So I'd like to offer my parting shot. My parting shot is in keeping with the topic that we had today, inclusion, diversity, and inclusion. I think that we take that for granted. It's a word, a term that's thrown around quite a bit. But how much do we really stand by it? When you start thinking about people that say that they don't see color, I think that you absolutely should. And I think that you should embrace the fact that you have friends that are different colors, people around you that are different cultures, come from different cultures, and that they're all equally talented. Not based off of their culture, but based off of the person that they are. That the guy that's wearing flip-flops can go in and negotiate a multi-million-dollar deal. Or the Black woman that you normally would put at the back of the line when it comes to business is networking with people to push cosmetic products, soap out, and so on and so forth with everybody else here. So I think that when you start thinking about building an inclusive community, you have to start thinking about what makes each person special and not the color of their skin. So,
Well said.
That's good. That's good.
thank you guys for being here. Simone, Chet, Terrence, Kevel, it was a pleasure to be here.
Thank
Tiffany,
you.
yeah, I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Thanks so much.